It's right around 3:45 a.m. on Friday, February 9th, and it is right around 29 degrees outside right now. I'm awake because I've had a pretty intense last few days, let's say 6 days, honestly, of working on drafting an initial version of a 30-page legal document that I am legally required to provide within a few days from now. So I have literally not left this building except to go grocery shopping early in the morning for a few hours um, for 7 days now, because leaving the building and doing stuff the way I normally do would prevent me from being able to get anything done. Usually what I like to do is go to a cafe like Starbucks or, sit in the lobby areas of some nice establishments and get work done. But you don't have control over who's sitting around you in these places. And when you really need to focus and buckle down for hours at a time and put your thinking cap on and draft something that is not just, formatted properly, but that actually makes sense in every way possible, including the legal sense, then you really need to be in a quiet environment. So what I've done is, as I mentioned in prior videos, I set up this table, pulled it out of the corner where I've had it for a few years, and turned this area right here into a little office. But over the last few nights, I've had to make multiple videos about the ongoing health and safety issues in this unit that occur even at 3:30 in the morning when I'm quietly sitting here, not making any noise and just typing things away on my phones. One of these issues is a lack of heat or excessive heat. So there was excessive heat in this unit over the weekend, and then the landlord responded by shutting off the heat to this unit on Monday, February 5th. And there was no heat in this unit between Monday, February 5th and earlier today, when the heat went back up to like 90 degrees this afternoon, earlier today. Now it's off again. And so even though it's 29 degrees outside, as you just saw, it is 29 degrees, Boston, Massachusetts, right now. There's no heat in these baseboards. So I've had to turn on the burner on my stove for warmth. The burner is going. Let me just turn this off. Yep, burner's on. And baseboards are ice cold. And because the baseboards are ice cold, completely ice cold. Because the baseboards are ice cold, the mice that like to run along these baseboard pipes when the pipes are cold have come back. And they've been in here this evening while I've been sitting at my table trying to draft this document that is literally 30 pages and very complicated and detailed. So my way of dealing with the rodent infestation in this unit now is to just leave out some bread as a mouse trap and literally let the mice come out of the woodwork and dox their presence in this unit. At the same time, there has been someone making smacking noises directly behind this wall. Every time I have gone into my bathroom and then have come out and washed my hands, it's the same psychopath, sex offender, and cyber criminal named Jasmine Arizari that the Greenville Group housed in the bathroom behind this wall legitimately for 9 of the last 10 and a half years. And now she likes to engage in the same exact pattern of stalking, harassment, and surveillance-based intrusion now as she did during the 9.5 years that she was housed in the bathroom behind this wall. So what happens when she sits directly behind this wall in the vacant premises of her former bathroom? Why is that bathroom permanently vacant when the Greenville Group could be charging a lot of money for a large unit with its own private bathroom, but they've been keeping it vacant and empty for over a year and a half now? Well, she basically is being permitted to access the vacant premises of her former unit. She obviously still lives in the building, or is maybe just very good at getting into this building and breaking and entering into her former unit by picking the lock. She likes to smack the wall directly behind this kitchen sink right here when I use my bathroom and then wash my hands at that sink. So each time I've done that over the last few hours, she has gotten all agitated and deliberately made really loud kind of dragging and slamming noises that are directly coming from right here. They're not coming from below. They're not coming from the thug directly below 76. He's been actually pretty quiet this evening. I don't even know if he's in his unit right now. And earlier this evening when I was eating and walking around, there was an intense amount of marijuana smoke coming directly from the wall right here, which is the bathroom of a former psychopath, a sex offender, and a cyber criminal, again, named Jasmine Arizari, who apparently seems to be some kind of hacker for the Greenville Group. As Oleg Lisleyev, the property manager, has mentioned to me a few times over the last 10 years that I've brought her behavioral issues to his attention, his comments have always been, oh, she's a very talented hacker. She can get into anything. So if she can get into anything, then that means that she can physically access, locked units by picking the lock, and can also electronically access multiple types of devices that are run on computer chips, like cell phones and laptops and heating systems and thermostats, right? So maybe that's why there's no heat in here right now and I have to keep the burner going. But regardless, she likes to make her presence known by sitting directly behind this wall late at night, early in the morning. It's usually during off hours, and smoke and fill this entire corner right here with intense amounts of the same exact combination of burning rubber smells, cigar stink, and marijuana fumes as she did during the 9 years that she officially lived in the bathroom behind this wall. Then she smacks the wall pretty aggressively and makes loud dragging noises, like she's dragging like a huge container of something behind this wall. When I try to use the water from this tap, the water from this tap stinks intermittently, like sewage, like fish, like somebody's filthy ass crack and like 30-day-old filthy feet. And maybe that's why she keeps dragging something that sounds like a really heavy container of something directly behind this wall, because she's trying to let me know that she somehow has access to the pipes of this tap and she's able to mess with the water. The water started to stink and be really foul back in 2019 when Ms. Irizarry, the same nut job that's apparently smacking the wall right now behind this sink, she was living in that bathroom. And I mean, she spent like literally 24/7 in that bathroom getting disruptive against this wall. She had some kind of construction done against the pipes to my tap on a Sunday afternoon for 2.5 hours. There was all kinds of hammering and banging against the pipes. And I was like, oh my God, are they installing like another shower back there or something? Like, what's going on? Then that's when the water from this tap started to really stink and make me sick. And a couple of months later, when I reported it to the maintenance manager, he said, I have no knowledge of any construction work being done in that bathroom, and we don't work on Sundays. So she apparently took it upon herself maybe to have some work done against the pipes to my tap. And that's when the water started really stinking and making me sick. So right now there's somebody dragging something that sounds like a really heavy container back and forth directly behind this sink right here, which is the bathroom of a vacant unit that formerly housed this psychopath that I'm discussing right now, who's apparently smacking the wall right now behind this wall. You probably can't hear it on this phone because the audio on this phone is absolutely terrible, and stuff that is really loud in person you can barely pick up on the audio on this phone. I mean, it's a cheap phone. This isn't like an Apple, a $900 Apple X phone or whatever. So these are the disruptions that are currently happening at 3:45 a.m. on a Thursday night. At the same time, the creep in 88, who's obviously very behaviorally disturbed, as evidenced by the fact that I had to make a video earlier this afternoon of him blasting some kind of video game noise that was so loud you could hear it throughout the entire floor. And even in the middle of the day, people do have the right to a quiet environment if they're home or trying to work or whatever. I mean, nobody has to be forced to listen to their neighbor's noise at such high volumes that it sounds like thunder pretty much everywhere you go. So he's been playing really loud video game noise up until about 30 minutes ago throughout the night. He starts at 11:30 for some reason. Almost every single night he's quiet up until 11:30, but he is in his unit because you can hear him moving around in there. But then for some reason at 11:30 he starts blasting his video game noise. And a few nights ago at 1 a.m. when I came back, he was blasting porn movies while I was standing at my door trying to unlock my door at 1 o'clock in the morning after I was out for 6 hours. So he's just behaviorally disturbed. And for the last 3.5 hours, starting at 11:30 p.m., he's been blasting really loud video game noise. But because I was listening to my own soft jazz on my phone and focusing on the document that I have to draft, I really didn't care too much about the video game noise. What I care more about is that there's a psychopath, again, sex offender, cyber criminal, and obsessive stalker named Jasmine Irizarry, who is not only continued to permit to live in this building, but she's continued to permit, the Greenville Group continues to allow her to access the premises of her former bathroom that is located directly behind this wall. And then she likes to let me know that she's right there by engaging in the same exact pattern of aggressive, intrusive, disruptive behavior, such as wall smacking, such as using some type of remote controlled stun gun device at close range when I try to stand at the sink and wash my hands or use my toilet or use the shower or lie on my bed. I mean, if she's behind this wall, she's what, 8 feet away from where I am? Not even. So the use of some type of remote controlled stun gun device is not terribly far-fetched given the close proximity of the person who keeps engaging in attention-seeking behavior by smacking this wall and blowing fumes and smoke through this wall, and the location where I happen to be standing. So you know what? You're never alone. Even when you want to be alone, like I do, I don't want to have anything to do with these low-life scum that the Greenville Group rent to in large numbers, and not just rent to, but choose to sponsor, according to police officers who told me in 2019 that the Greenville Group is sponsoring an activist group, meaning a bunch of psycho thugs and criminals who have nothing else to do other than harass people. That's a concern because I obviously do not have any privacy, and this person responds to what I happen to do in the privacy of this unit by letting me know she can see or hear what I do and smacking the wall as some sort of prison code that they can see what I'm doing. That's my concern. But you know what? This is my mouse trap right here. So back to the mice. This is my mouse trap. This is a pizza box with some pizza crusts. And because the mice absolutely love bread and pizza crusts, earlier this afternoon there were mice in here because I had left a loaf of bread on the back of that stove and they were running along the counters. Now I'm going to just sit here and wait for them to come out of the woodwork and show themselves. So, at 4 a.m, this is usually when they start coming out and playing. So we'll see what happens. Oh, but in the meantime, I'm going to celebrate having finished drafting the rough draft of this 30-page document by having a super coffee and some Cheerios. This is my celebration right here. This coffee is absolutely amazing. It will wake the dead. It's so strong, but it's also a keto coffee, meaning it doesn't have any sugar or dairy. And maybe that's why it works so well. There's no milk in it, and there's also no sugar. It's sugar-free, but it's really good. And then I'm just going to have some Cheerios and celebrate having finished the rough draft of the document that is so long. It's like I had to create 2 versions of it in 2 separate sections because it's too big for it to be saved as one single document. And then I'll just watch that pizza box and see what kind of rodents or weirdos show up, right? You never know what's going to happen next in this unit, even at 3:45 a.m., especially at 3:45 a.m. That's when all the weirdos suddenly start smacking the wall and blasting loud porn movies or video game soundtrack, in spite of the fact that they have to know on some level that they're disrupting other people, but they don't care. And that's why the Greenville Group rents to them. They love people with behaviorally challenged lifestyles, right? Maybe that's why the Greenville Group uses some of these people to harass tenants who are more functional and have to pay rent out of pocket, as I continue to have to do. I am not a Section 8 tenant. I never was. I have to pay rent out of pocket, whether it's through my wages and earnings or from grant funding that I have to obtain myself. I still continue to have to pay rent out of funding. And that's where I am a million times more functional than these low-life scumbags who are so behaviorally disturbed that they barely leave their units because they can't function out in society. They could never hold down a full-time job because they would probably end up physically assaulting their coworkers because they're so behaviorally disturbed. That's a fact.